Hey everyone. Tonight I'm going to be speaking to Dana, the vocalist and bass player from Insect ARK. We jumped ahead a little earlier because when we first organised this, Australian Daylight Savings hadn't got in yet. So apologies for the difference in time. But I'll just bring her in now. And if anyone does have any questions, you can submit them just down the bottom there. There's a square with a question mark. That way I'll actually see them. Otherwise, they get lost in the feed. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get her in. She's having some issues with it. Try again. There she is. Hello.
Hey.
We had a bit of a false start.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that. Yeah, daylight savings just happened literally this weekend, and when I think we organized this, it was prior to. And I don't keep track of that because
No,
with the iPhones and things now, it just all does it for you, so there's no need to track all that stuff. But yeah. But firstly, thank you so much for coming on.
totally. Thanks for
Um,
coming.
yeah, thank you. I was speaking to Mia from Zealand Ardor. She was really excited as well that you were coming on. So it's really
Hey,
good.
Mia.
I've got quite a lot of friends here in Australia who are huge Insect Art fans as well. So you're pretty popular here, I've got to say.
Wow, we
So
should come there
yeah, definitely. You have like,
one day.
yeah, well, yeah, when we can. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say, obviously, you started in 2011 as just a one-woman project originally,
Hmm.
um, and then of course you moved on to being a two-piece as well, and bringing in, of course, um, now I've lost my Sorry, I've lost my Andy. That I was trying to remember. Andy brought Andy in and the drums and everything else. I was gonna say how has that changed the way you work and what you produce now? Like having that other element.
Well, so when I started Insect Arc as a solo project, the idea was to do something that I didn't have to really rely on anybody else. And it wasn't so much that I wanted to do something alone. It was kind of coming out of the complications and sometimes frustrations of being in a band. So before Insect Arc, I had a band for 10 years, more than 10 years, called
Hmm.
Bee and Flower,
Yeah. Hmm.
which, was my sort of attempt at like, being a songwriter. I played bass and I wrote all the songs and I was the singer. And even with that project back in its inception, I didn't actually want to be the singer or a front person. I've never considered myself that. But it was
Yeah.
more about not being able to find people who could do those roles. I mean, I
Roles. Yeah.
consider myself a bassist, really.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted to make music and I had really kind of precise goals musically. So I thought, okay, if I
Hmm.
can't find the people to do it with, then, I'll learn how to play it myself. So when I started Being Flower, I was like, well, I want to do something with a lot of piano. I didn't know how to play piano. So I like got a piano, like sort of learned, and then I learned a little bit
Playing.
of drums, and then I was like, went on to vocals, and I was like, damn. So that band ended up bringing me you know, it was in New York, Bee and Flower was, and then to Berlin, and the band members somewhat shifted, and then I went back to New York, and um, trying to maintain a band with lots of people in it, different schedules, everyone's doing lots of stuff. It was
And different locations and things.
different locations, yeah, and by the end, I just felt like, you know, maybe it was time to do something simpler. So I did start Insect Ark alone. And it was really freeing also because part of the idea with Bee and Flower was to explore song form,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really where I come from. I mean, I like music with songs, but
Yeah.
so with Insect Ark, I had this idea that I could just try anything. And so it became a very experimental thing. And I decided to pick up an instrument that I didn't know how to play, which is the lap steel,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is a hard instrument.
Yeah, it's
So
like you weren't really afraid of anything but the sounds.
I didn't
It's
really
like,
have any like conceived ideas of what it would be, and that really helped actually, because with Bee and Flower, I really wanted to like write songs, and I wanted it to be pretty, and I wanted it to be dark, and all these other things. But with Insect Ark, I was like, let's just see what happens, like explore these interests I have in like drone and noise and texture and melody, and just really being able to play with structure or not. And so that was really freeing for me. And you know, so the first records, there was a 7-inch. The first 7-inch, I sang on one side of it, and then I immediately decided to scrap singing.
yeah.
And then, because it was just too much, I was playing bass and lap steel and synthesizers, and I had like drum programming and stuff, and I was
Yeah.
doing it all live with live looping, and it was insane. And it was,
Oh God, trying to do
it's,
all that at once
yeah,
live.
I was doing it, but it was really, it was kind of too much. So I scrapped the singing, and then, so I did a 7-inch on a small UK label called Lancashire and Somerset, and then I did a 10-inch with a small label in Los Angeles called Give I Ritual Documents. That record's called Long Arms.
Yep.
And then I made a full length on my own, which is called Portal Well. And by the time
Yeah.
I got to Portal Well, I was I realized that there was a genre
Yeah.
that I didn't actually know where it fit in, and I didn't really look for things similar. But by the time I did Portal Well, I started to realize that there was like a community of people who liked this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
He like, yeah, yeah.
So, and I met Ashley, the first drummer for Insect Ark, when it was time to tour uh, Portal Well, the full length.
The full length. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and because I was gonna say it, like it's been described as like instrumental doom, kind of cinematic, you know, all
Yeah.
these different kind of things. But you know, on the your point about, you know, we scrap the singing and then we come, I guess, back to um the vanishing, and now there's singing again.
No.
Is there not? I think I
No.
was tectonic. Or was I was thinking there's on tectonic.
Oh, that's a choir sample. There's like these in the end section.
Oh, because I was
This,
gonna say I was confused.
yeah, that's funny that that's it's what it is. It's like a
Yeah,
mellotron sample of a choir.
because it sounds amazing. When I first heard it, I was like, she's singing again. Like
Yeah,
I was like, this sounds
yeah,
badass.
that's so funny. I mean, I admit that I have considered the idea of making sound with my voice again, not so much like being a singer or a front
Singer, yeah,
person.
yeah,
Um, just because it's something that I can do, but I like the sort of um, the genderless quality of, and it's not even so much genderless, but this personless the neutrality of making instrumental music, I think, is really appealing to me because it strips away anything about the person making it, and the person
Mm.
listening to it can just decide what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, well,
Um,
kind of the ego kind of, there's no ego there in a sense, because there's no
yeah,
personas, and everything is then focused on the actual music, and of course, like, how
yeah,
the crowd or listeners interpret that music.
precisely. Yeah, I'm not interested in it being about me actually at
Mm.
all. Um, I was never a comfortable front person, and it was funny because when I played alone, somebody said, "Well, you're the front person." I said, "No, I'm not." And they're like, "Well, yeah,
You're the
you're
only
the
one.
only person up there." And I was like, "Yeah, that doesn't make me a front person just because I'm the person, standing there or
Yeah,
whatever."
yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah. So I met Ashley in 2015 through a mutual friend, and she joined, and she was in the band for like 4 years,
Hmm.
up until, and we did a lot of touring, and we made the second full length, Marrow Hymns, which came out
Hmm.
on Profound Lore. We made that one
Yep.
together, and then she exited, and then I found Andy, and Andy and I made The Vanishing together last
Hmm.
fall. In fact, let's see, October, just we were probably just finishing the tour. Like we went on this gangbusters thing where we like had never really played together, worked out
Yeah.
a whole live set, uh, and then prepared for the material to be recorded live. Did a U.S. tour with Aransi Pazuzu, and then uh, went directly into the studio in New York and recorded it, and then it came out in February. And
Yeah.
when we went on
So,
tour, then we went on
and
tour in
did it.
March, and then Corona hit. So
Yeah, which is has happened to everyone. And like with the, I guess, with the Vanishing, um, it's been, I mean, it's a really great album, and
thank you.
I feel like, you can kind of see the evolution throughout.
Mm,
And Andy's like kind of unique, what he's bringing to it as well. But for you, I was going to say, for you, when you are looking at making an album, and when it is all instrumental and there isn't any vocals, how do you normally like build that sonic story or sonic journey? Is there an inspiration there, or is it just playing around, or do you have something in mind, or? And I guess also with Andy not being there, you would have had to communicate via online or whatever as well, which makes it sort of weird thing as well.
yeah. I mean, well, yeah, Andy and I was living in New York and Andy was in Utah. And when Ashley was in the band, I was living in New York and she was in Portland, Oregon. So for folks who live or have been to the US, they know that those are at minimum like 7 hour flights apart from each
Hmm.
other. And in neither case did we do really a ton of back and forth over the internet. That's something that just wasn't really happening a whole lot. So in general, though, the process has been me just like sitting down and either following a thread of an idea, like perhaps I wake up and have a melodic idea, and then I sort of figure out what it is, and then I develop that until then I think, oh, maybe that's the wrong instrument, maybe that should be on the keyboard now, and then I'll be like, oh, that would sound cool if there was like a throb of like a synthesizer or a bass going at like a different place, and it just sort of like starts swirling around into some sort of a shape, and then I'll demo it, and then I'll just sort of listen to it really rough just to document the initial idea when it's fresh, and
Rush,
then
yeah.
come back to it and just flush it out with different stuff. And sometimes I would write with drum patterns because it helps me actually like structure,
Like build around it.
yeah, it gives me something to build on. It's like an armature in a way, and
Yeah,
that is really useful because um, I like to like have as much space and things as possible. So I'd like to sort of have a estimation of what some of these elements will be, so I can know like how much can I strip away of the things that are there. So if I know there's going to be drums, you know, they sonically they take up a certain amount of space, but it's there's never really just one way though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but of
And
course, and when Ashley was in the band, we would write some stuff together. I mean, I still wrote really most of it, but she and I,
mhm.
over time, you know, I would go to Portland and we would rehearse in her rehearsal space, and then I would bring in a riff, and then she would have some ideas. So she wrote more because she was really in the band for much longer. Andy has only been in the band for like about a year, and it was
Mhm.
a very condensed time for a very specific goal. I mean, he came in, uh, you know, at a time when things were a little bit tumultuous, actually.
Yeah.
So,
And so when like I was saying, when you kind of put it together sonically,
mm-hmm.
um I'm just fascinated by particularly multi-instrumental um, composers because I always feel like is there some kind of visual story going in your head like when you're doing a song like like something that's kind of there or is it purely just about the sounds?
I would have to say that it actually really starts with the sounds, but I honestly can't say that the visual part of it or the sort of personal sense of space.
Hmm.
Definitely, I think the latter figures in more because I'm a visual artist as well. That's what I've done.
Yeah.
When I was started out as a painter, actually.
And
Um,
you do animation as well, is that right?
I do. That's my job. That's what's saving my
Yeah.
ass. um,
What kind
but
of, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of animation do you do?
yeah, I do. Um, as the sort of very loose term is motion graphics, but not in the sort of really advertising way, which is what it's used for a lot, but do heavy compositing of things, for example, compositing things that were not filmed together and making them look like they were filmed
They
together.
were, yeah.
But also typography animation and then some character animation, but it's not CG. It's not like
Yeah,
pink bunny
yeah.
rabbits with hats. It's I have a website on this. You know, if somebody can spell my name, they can find my
Yeah,
website.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
all on
because,
there. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's fun and I like it. And the visual side of things is what sort of helps me define space. And it's absolutely the definition of physical space that is maybe the biggest determination of how I build music.
yeah, yeah. And then
Dividing
when
time
yeah,
into
between,
space.
yeah. And then I guess when you come up with, like the album names and the song titles and things like that, where do you pull those from? Is that like, that's the very last minute, or is it something that you have already in mind, or it comes to you once it's finished?
Um, Honestly, mostly finished. I'm not really a words person. I've never
Yeah.
been. I find communication necessary but difficult, and
Hmm.
words are no. Uh, they definitely sometimes don't do the work for me. So,
Hmm.
what to call something? It's more about how it feels and how it sits to me. So, a song like Tectonic, which is the first song
Hmm.
on the Vanishing that just came out. I didn't, you know, come up with that bass riff and think like, yeah, it's tectonic. It was more like the bass riff is really heavy and moving, and there's all this like weird shit like going on underneath it, and it just sounds like earth moving to me. And then I was like, okay, you know, what does that sound like? And I was like, oh yeah, you know, that's a good title. But man, I've especially when I had my old band and I had to write lyrics, it was like excruciating
Yeah.
trying to come up with titles
Yeah.
and words and, you know,
Yeah. Some people, I think some people are just built for that, and some are just like, ugh.
totally. Yeah. Yeah,
And I
and it's
mean,
fine. You don't have to be good at everything or, you know,
yeah. And I
but that,
mean, given that, you obviously, you're very experimental with playing with the different instruments and things. Have you also, do you also play guitar at all? Since you can play bass, or
I can like ham fist some chords.
yeah.
And I can finger pick, but my left hand on guitar is not so adept at. Yeah, I mean, I had an acoustic guitar that I used to write on a lot just to help me write, chords, and I'd like to try, but I don't have a guitar.
Hmm.
Um, I mean,
Because I'm always interested to see an artist that's like, when it's someone that's just like bass and drums, like without
yeah,
everyone relies very heavily on, the guitar and the guitar riffs. So it's really a unique dynamic when you have a bass player and a drummer, because they're the two, I think, well, secret weapons, as one of my music friends said, they're the secret weapons behind a band when, they make everything fit together, and having just
totally.
those two. mm,
I mean,
it,
the lap steel guitar is a guitar, and that I do play that quite a lot in Insect Arc. But you can't play chords on it. It's a slide guitar, and the strings are like
mm,
this high off the neck, so you don't press it down. You like take the slide and you slide it over the strings, and
mm,
that's how it gets that crazy sound. But
yeah.
it's not a traditional guitar in the sense that you don't hold it like a guitar and you don't press your finger down onto the string. You press the
mm,
fretboard, and then with the right hand, you make a sound.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's very different. But you can get some sort of guitar-like sounds out of it. But
Out of
I
it,
would
yeah.
never call myself a guitarist ever.
Yeah.
No.
No, you're gonna bust out some riffs or you know.
I mean, I try to play riffs on lap steel. It's hard. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I keep trying. I keep trying to, but then it's just I'm like I should just get a guitar if I want to play
If you
guitar
want to try
riffs.
it, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was gonna say, how you said you toured with Andy, and how, like, ha going from like you playing just by yourself to then having another person on stage in that presence. How was that experience
It's
compared
great.
to when it was just you?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, both with Ashley and with Andy. I mean, it was not a mistake that when I decided to add a member that it was a drummer, because as a
Hmm.
bass player, the thing that I missed the most was the drums. Every time
Yeah.
I go to a show, I'm always just watching the drummer. I love drums,
Hmm.
and I thought, when it was just me and I could like do all these, like I was playing the bass and then I would like loop the bass part, then I would get out my little synthesizer and I'd play some shit on that and then play the lap steel and I could build up all this sound. But I was interested in having beats, and then I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I can write drum beats, electronically and sonically they were cool, but it was really hard to get excited on stage about a drum machine loop for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, and maybe
Mm.
in another circumstance it could work, but over time, I think that I felt like it was um, disingenuous in a way to
Mm.
have a drum machine loop because it was clearly not being produced live. Like for me, a really important thing about Insect Art is to be able to do as much of it live. In fact, there's 5% of it is stuff that's pre-prepared, and almost all of it is done live. And
It's
so it
done.
makes a very unique challenge. And I just thought, like, no, I need drums. And of course, my ability to tour just went from being super simple to being super complicated. It used
Yeah.
to be me and a couple, like guitar,
Yeah.
my lap steel, my bass, my synth, you know, okay, amps actually was a lot of shit, but still. But then you add a drum, you know, a drum kit. It's like a whole
Yeah,
other thing.
you've got all that. Yeah. I
But
mean, at least you
it
still
felt
got
so
two
much
people.
better to me, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of, like I said, you can definitely hear in the vanishing that extra oomph, kind of thing. I feel like you can
Yeah.
really feel that as well. Um, and you were talking about obviously earlier working with people, and how complicated it can be. And I know you've done worked as a bassist for numerous bands, like Wreckmeister Harmonies and Zealand and Swans and things like that. And so you're probably very well versed in dealing with the egos and different, what different like things people expect and want, and that kind of thing. When you worked with those bands, was it a collaborative thing, or was it more like I don't want to say the word hired gun, but like come in and this is what you're going to do kind of thing?
Um, there's not any one way with that either. I mean, it depends on the circumstance. Like, let's see, for Zeal and Ardor, for example, I was playing the bass parts that were already established, like to the note, the best and
Mm-hmm.
to my best ability, because it was a very structured thing, and I was literally brought in as a hired player on that, and that's fine. That was
They're great, and they're a great band.
I love them, yeah, and
Yeah,
it was an honor and it was a challenge. I mean, some of that stuff's way faster on than
yeah.
I've ever played before. Like, you know, I mean, I grew up listening to metal and I listen to metal, but playing stuff at that speed and with that kind of precision, it was really hard for me. So that was like, okay, here's the bass part. Learn the bass part.
Mhm.
With Wreckmeister Harmonies, I was playing lap steel, and that
Yeah.
was me adding ideas that I had to songs that they wrote. So I
Hmm.
wasn't involved in the songwriting process. I mean,
Yep.
um,
Sort of adding layers to what they'd already done.
yeah, yeah. And I mean,
Yep.
when somebody brings in a finished song and they've already thought out the structure and they've thought out the chord changes and they've thought out the main melodies, then um, somebody like me will come in and sort of add color and shape. And sometimes those ideas will be inspiring to the songwriter, and then that'll kind of set them off. They'll be, oh, maybe that melody you wrote is nice. We could extend this section. And then that maybe can lead to something else. But
Yeah.
initially, you know, the main idea is there. And depending on how much time you have to work together, sometimes
Yeah.
that's preferable, because if you only have, let's say, a week or something to prepare to work on somebody's album with
Hmm.
them, you gotta hope that they know what they want. And I don't find that insulting in any way, that if somebody doesn't want you know, my input on writing or composing in some way. If somebody has asked me, I'm happy to share that.
Yeah. Well, I've seen Wreckmeister Harmonies a few times when I was living in England,
Okay.
and yeah, I really liked their sound and the way that, like, it is very visceral and
Yeah.
more instrumental. And but then when there is vocals, it's more of an instrument, I find, than a words thing.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's when I saw that you'd worked with them as well, I was like, that's rad, because I've only ever seen them obviously um live, just the two of them, and
Oh,
I
so you
I
saw
never
them too. Oh, yeah.
hmm
Yeah, when I
yeah,
was in it, it was actually a full band, which was pretty interesting. I mean, the
yeah, so
first
I
time
haven't seen that. Yeah.
yeah, when I first saw Wreckmeister Harmonies, it was JR with like 30 guitarists
Oh
at
my
this
God.
warehouse space in Brooklyn. It was insane. And then, yeah, that was really fun, and I really like them as people as well. Actually, I really like all the people I've worked with. I mean, some people are maybe more difficult, but I haven't had to work with any like total pricks, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, Yeah, because I mean, I guess the one, I mean, everyone I know loves swans, so everyone's probably like interested in that whole scenario. So, when you were working from them, was that a hired gun scenario, like kind of thing, or were you
With
like just music
swans,
made? Mm.
so swans have not actually officially played in swans yet, and this is what happened: is that we were have to been on tour this whole year,
Right. Yep.
and I was a few weeks away from starting the rehearsals for swans.
Yeah. So
Um,
you're a pre-swan
well, I
kind
was
of
in
thing.
Angels of Light, and Angels of
Yeah.
Light was basically swans, and
Mhm.
I was in that band for 4 years,
Mhm.
and it was all people who are in swans now or
Swans.
have
Yeah.
been in swans, and so it was basically, it wasn't the same as Michael Giroir's solo work. It was definitely
Mhm.
a band, and that was actually collaborative in a way.
Mhm.
We definitely would write our own parts, but Michael would also have structural ideas, songs, melodies, lyrics. But he was willing to allow what the other people were doing and how that would influence the shapes. And so, really long rehearsals, like 8 hour rehearsals for 3 weeks every day.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what we were actually getting ready to do in April as well, with
Yeah.
um, for the Leaving Meaning tour, which was, I think we had 3 weeks scheduled, and we
Mhm.
were going to rehearse probably 6 days a week this time because everybody's, like, got other stuff that they, you have to like wash your socks on one day a week or whatever. But yes,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can't honestly remember. It was quite some time ago, but Angels of Light being sort of in the model of swans, like, um, and I'm really tight with all of those folks and have been pretty much ever since then. And they were like, "Yep, it's the same. Yep, we rehearsed, like insane
This much.
hours." And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Michael can be a tyrant. There's no doubt about it. He can
Well,
be
you can see very much in control of. He's almost
totally.
like I sort of I like when I've seen them live. He's very much like the conductor in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the ideas stem from him for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. Yeah.
He's like a director. He's got, it's his vision. And
Mm.
of course, there can be clashes, and people have ideas, and he can change his mind, and people disagree. And I experienced that. Everyone who's ever worked with him has certainly experienced
Yeah.
the difficulties, but he's the first person to admit it. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not he's not presenting himself as like the fluffy, friendly,
No, no.
boss
Yeah.
guy. I mean, his reputation precedes him, and
Yeah.
I mean, we get along great. Michael and I get along great. There were times when we had our difficulties, for sure, where we
Mhm.
disagreed on things, and you know, his. I have a lot of respect for him because his stubbornness, which can be very difficult at the moment, is also part of the thing that has allowed him to keep going for so long. And
Yeah.
I don't think you can separate those things from people, whatever their
Mm.
method is to keep going.
Yeah, well, he
It's
continues to, sell concerts out and keep creating. So he's got his formula down in a way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it is about like you said, like, selling out concerts and things. Of course, every artist wants people to respond to what they do well. I
Hmm.
think that's natural. But I get the sense that it's really coming from a place where he feels that he's trying to express something that is inexpressible, and you just
Mm.
try to find the shape over and over. And I think that's what all artists are doing, actually.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly determined person.
Mm.
So yeah, it's great. And I was really excited that he asked me to be in Swans. And so officially I am in Swans, but we're just sitting waiting
Not happening. Yeah.
until we can work. I mean, um, yes, of course, it's a huge honor. I mean, Swans have made
Yeah. I mean,
some really
I can.
amazing, important albums,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I love all those folks. Like they're all really they're good people, and I count them as friends, all of them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important for me, and I'm very frustrated. This was going to be a great year of music
Hmm.
for me, and it's yeah for everybody. We're all just
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I think that's been for
it's hard.
everyone in everything. Yeah. I was gonna say, I think Swans, like I said, is very there are also that, like you were saying, he's got that he's trying to express something that he can't express almost. And the last time I saw them, the floor was like moving and like vibrating, and I actually felt nauseous during one song. And I was
That's the
like,
goal. I got to tell you, I think that is one of
yeah, that it
that
is
is
100%. And I was like,
yeah.
they played for quite a long time, and it's very captivating watching Michael, but also seeing all the different layers of what everyone else is doing. But yeah, it's very like you're very involved. Like I said, the floor was shaking. I felt nauseous at some songs, like, but I couldn't explain why, So,
Well,
I,
part of it is volume.
well, yes,
The
volume,
volume is
100%.
the volume is like yeah, it's next level for sure.
Yeah. I was like, I'm one of those terrible people who doesn't wear earplugs and stands
Oh
right next to
no,
the speakers. So
don't do that.
I'm used to the loudness, and but I was not expecting. I was, kind of near the like front-ish area, away from the speakers this time because I was knew it was going to be loud, and
Yeah.
but even so, it was like whoa, like this. It's become like yeah, and I felt a very physical reaction to the music as much as I did a emotional one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like in that same sense, I feel that's kind of where Insect Arc is unique as well. Like I feel like there's like, you've got soundscapes and kind of these kind of sonic, what I think is sonic journeys, or like things that evoke emotion. Um, and you can't really necessarily put your hand on it, or figure out why, but there's just certain songs that you'll be like, whoa, yeah, I can feel that. I know what that, and I think obviously for everybody it's different with different songs, like what people are actually experiencing. um and having not had the chance to see you play live, I don't know what that's like. So but I just know, obviously from the audio that that it's very different per thing. And I know, like I said, you have a big fan base in Australia that often go overseas to festivals to see you play. So a lot of them were very excited that I was having you on. So
Well, it's
that's
nice
good.
to have the opportunity to do it, and I've never been to Australia actually, and it's one of the places that's on my absolute list. So
Yeah,
I hope that live music can survive this. It's looking pretty grim, honestly.
yeah.
I mean, newsflash, no, not a newsflash, but it's been really hard. I think for people who have dedicated their lives to making things, and I count myself as quite fortunate in
Yeah,
many ways. One is that I do have another um, way of working, which that I actually enjoy, which is my animation work.
which is good
Um,
because a lot of people don't have.
I
Well,
know,
they
I know.
have a second job, but they hate it,
Yeah,
or they've
right.
never worked. They've never worked a second, like they've never worked. They've only done music, so they're like, "What am I
Yeah.
gonna do?"
Or
Yeah,
all the industry people, you know, it's totally
Mm-hmm.
insane. All these people who've worked in really specialized,
Areas, yeah.
yeah, like, you know, booking agents and managers and live
Mm-hmm.
sound engineers, and then all the people who work in, you know, backline rental companies and gear
Mm-hmm.
companies, and all the people, the bartenders, the promoters, like,
Yeah.
it's
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 been a huge thing.
absolutely devastating watching, and I'm so frustrated, um, seeing, I mean, you know, where I come from, the idea of supporting a small business seems to be a pretty unpopular uh, thing, in the sense that, you know, they don't really give a shit if this vibrant culture, which has been developing and keeping people human,
Yeah.
if it just goes away. I don't
Yeah.
know if people understand what's going to happen if
Gonna
culture just
happen. Yeah.
goes away. I mean, there's a, so I'm in Berlin, where I actually live now, which
Yeah.
is a
I was
interesting.
gonna ask you why you were in
How did I
Berlin.
end up in
So
Berlin? Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, Andy and I were on the tour for Vanishing in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of this year. We played 4 shows out of a 3-week tour, and it was the two of us and our manager, sound engineer Nikos, and our
Mm-hmm.
driver Martin, and the four of us were just trying to get these shows done, and the shows just started dropping. They just
Mm-hmm.
started like cancel, 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 and um, so the tour basically was falling apart, you know. And we were in England actually, and we were like, heard they were going to close the border to Germany, which
Yeah. Yeah.
is where all the gear was. Well, the gear came from Czech Republic, but we had started the tour in Berlin and we had to get back here. So we basically drove through the night from London back to Berlin, and got here right when they closed the border to Germany,
Right.
like the next day.
To
And
be fair though, Berlin's a better place to be than stuck
then
in
the
England.
UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy though, because when we were in the UK, people were still like partying, like there was,
Oh, yeah.
they didn't,
They
I
still are
remember
now.
yeah, it's wild, and we were of course watching what was happening, and like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no. So we hightailed it back to Berlin, and then a few days later, Andy flew back to Utah where he lives,
Mm-hmm.
and I was waiting to find out what was going to happen with Swans, because I had 3 tours and 3 weeks of rehearsals planned to, you know, begin within a couple of weeks of that moment. This was like mid-March.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that did get canceled. And I was like, you know, you don't have to be a scientist to know that if there's a global pandemic, that you probably don't want to be in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I had lived in Berlin uh, in the early 2000s. And so I have a
Mm-hmm.
huge community of people here. In fact, you know, I had moved here with Bee and Flower, so
Mm-hmm.
several of my old bandmates are here, and I have a ton of friends here. And I was like, I think I'm gonna just hang out here for a minute and see how this develops.
Yeah.
And then shit just started going crazy in New York, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like, you know, it's like the stories coming out of there with the people, you know, the virus
Yeah,
and
yeah. And
the
the
deaths, and I
protesting
was
and
like,
everything.
holy shit, watching that happen. And I had subbed at my room already, because I was planned to be gone from New York for 3 months. I was going
Mm-hmm.
to go do the Insect Arc tour, and then the Swans rehearsals, and then the first 2 Swans tours. So I had a lot of stuff with me. I had all my gear. I had my laptop, you know, all this stuff, a ton of shit. And I was like, well, I kind of have everything I need here, so I'm just
Yeah.
gonna wait it out.
Enough
And so,
enough outfits to
what's
last
that?
enough outfits to last the
No, yeah,
time.
I think I had 1 pair of pants and 2 pairs of shoes, but you know, you can fix those things. I had
Yeah,
everything I
yeah.
need to like,
To
that I
do
really
your work, yeah.
to do what
Mm-hmm.
I need to do. And so then after I was watching for a while, I was like, man, it's getting crazy. And then, you know, all the political upheaval and
Mm-hmm.
all the race, you know, potential race rioting. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, the USA is like a trash fire right now. Like, and honestly, I've been trying to make an exit from there for a while, psychologically and
Yeah.
emotionally. And I was like,
Mm.
I'm already in Europe, and I had a small window where my tourist visa, because I was on a tourist visa, you
Mm-hmm.
know, when you leave the States, you tour with a tourist visa. And it was good for 3 months. And as that
Mm-hmm.
date was coming up, I was like, if I leave now, then I'm gonna probably get stuck in the US for, you know, God
Yeah.
knows how long. And then I
You'll
was
never be
like,
able to get out. Yeah.
yeah, and which is what is happening now, is that people are
Mm-hmm.
basically stuck there.
Yeah, you're
Um,
banned. America's pretty much banned from everywhere.
American passport is like you can throw it in the trash. And so then
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I should just move back to Berlin. And so I applied for my residency here, which
Mhm.
is basically like the equivalent of a green card in the US. And
It's
I
so
basically,
easy. I've got a lot of Australian friends in Berlin,
there's a
and
ton
it's
of us.
incredibly easy from what I
I mean,
understand.
it's not easy in the sense that like you don't just walk in, but
No, no,
I
but
mean, they love the paperwork.
compared to yeah, compared to anywhere else in the
Yeah,
world, like and they're very supportive of musicians and artists
totally.
there.
Yeah,
Whereas a lot of other countries, that's gone fallen to the very bottom of what they care about, you know. And I was going to say, you know, I'm really happy that you actually address the issue of not only artists but the people who make shows happen.
yeah.
Um, I've been working for the last couple of months with the organization We Make Events.
Hmm.
And yeah, so their whole campaign is basically how are we going to have shows when there's no people left to put them like to do the work? Because people are, you know,
Yeah,
like you've got roadies, you've got riggers, you've got lighting, you've got sound
everything.
engineers, and all of those people are now have no work and haven't had any work since March.
That's right.
And they're like on the bottom list of like of majority of all countries financial assistance, you know. So the whole campaign has been to try and get people to understand how important they are, because when shows return, it's that's great, but who's going to put them on when everyone's had to take normal jobs, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's yeah, that side of the industry is what's
and they are, like you
making
said, all
things
small
happen. Yeah.
businesses.
Excuse
They're
me?
all small businesses.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of them are single or two people or yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of misconception uh, how things actually get done. You know, people think
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, your band's cool, you know, you should just go on tour. Right? Like that's, you know, for I saw something that said like what is it like for one live show there's like 20 more than 20 different people involved in making that
Hmm.
happen, you know?
Yeah. And then the bigger the show, the
Of
more
course, yeah.
insane it becomes, you know.
Yeah,
It's just so many people. So yeah, it's and they don't you know, unlike the artists, they can't kind of fall back on, you know, on royalties or Bandcamp or doing things like that, you know. Like so they
right.
definitely need the support as well. So we're
Yeah,
hoping, you know, that we're getting through to the government in every country, um, and getting some stuff done. Um, I did want to ask you though, because you were sort of saying you listened to metal when you were younger, I guess. And I was gonna say, you played a lot of like I guess metal doom festivals. You know, like Roburn and like Terror Fest and stuff. What was those experiences like? Were you playing those as a solo artist or with
no,
Ashley?
no, Roadburn and Northwest Terrafest, those were both me and Ashley.
Mm,
They're they're great, super fun. Like, I mean, those two specific festivals are completely different. Like Roburn is obviously
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
biggest. I mean, that's a very like communal, really well organized event, that
yeah. Like
people
I
involved in
think
putting that on. Yeah,
every
their
band,
love
like
of music is so vast, and it shows in the programming, and they make you
oh,
feel really
100%.
welcome, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like nearly every band I like plays Roadburn, but I've never had a chance to go. So I'm hoping with COVID and stuff, maybe I'll have another year to save up and go. But then something like Terrorfest is like, I mean, that's more hard, that's much more
Yeah.
heavy orientated. So like, even for female acts to play Terrorfest is not 100% common, and and it's a heavy, kind of a heavy male audience as well.
Mm.
Was it any different, or would you just say no? It was pretty much the
Um,
same experience.
I certainly didn't experience anything negative at Terrorfest. Um, and there were women in the audience.
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
lot of there's a lot of heavy metal fans at Terrorfest. I know that much.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that, I mean, it's an interesting thing because somebody who's into, like, let's say, um, different, like death metal or something, probably wouldn't show up at our show because we wouldn't be
yeah,
interested to them. And there's a lot of sort of humorous debate as to how metal Insect Ark is. And I never said it was metal. I
yeah.
never was the one who was like, yeah, we're a metal band. Other people decided that we were a doom metal band. And I was like, okay, cool. Call it you can call it
Call it
whatever
whatever.
you want,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not interested in like aligning us with a particular genre, but I understand
Mm,
that people need genres because it helps place things, and that's totally fine. But what I discovered very early on was that people who are into more like ambient and experimental metal uh, really responded to it, even though I wasn't like I
mm.
hadn't set out with that as a goal. So,
As a goal, yeah.
and people,
Because I
your
mean,
audience finds you, like hopefully, hopefully your audience finds you, but you don't choose your audience ever. Actually, no
no,
artist chooses their
yeah.
audience. I guess if you like really had a very, perfectly designed plan to, manipulate a concept of something, you could perhaps pinpoint who your audience might be, but
To be. But I mean, I think
I
it's
think why you would do.
awesome. Like to play Terrorfest, like to me, that's awesome. Like I love that so many festivals are being much more open and creative with their lineups because, like you said, majority of those people probably wouldn't go to your shows, but then they will often watch the band and then they really like them
True.
and realize, hey, this is I dig this, even though it's not that, kind of thing. And I was talking to Zola Jesus about that, and she was, when she played Roadburn, she was really unsure how it was going to have to go down, because everyone was more into heavy and doom and stuff, and
They
people
loved
really
her. I was
responded.
at that
Yeah,
show. It was great.
yeah, yeah, they loved her, and so I think that's one really good thing is that it kind of is expanding that whole community and that genre now, where it's sort of like it's not a limited genre anymore, I think. Whereas before
Yeah.
it seemed very closed off, and now I like the eclecticism. That's my music taste is so eclectic. So
Yeah,
I like
likewise. Yeah.
that. Yeah, so I like that now people are embracing whole other things. Um, but as a I guess like a young metalhead as well when I was younger, what were you listening to when you were when you were
When I
into
was
metal?
12,
Yeah.
I started going to metal shows when I was 12 with my older sister Leah, and
Mm-hmm.
friends. We were in junior high school, and this was
Mm-hmm.
in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we were lucky to be there when the Bay Area thrash metal scene was getting going. So we
Hmm.
saw tons of bands like, and we used to see our sort of best friends were this band Exodus
Hmm.
from the East Bay,
And who
but
there?
it
Yeah.
was like Death Angel, Exodus, and then like Slayer sort of showed up in that scene, and then the
Yeah.
Metallica showed up, and that's why.
I mean, who didn't like Metallica? I mean,
Yeah, I mean it
I
was
feel I
very
feel like
beginning.
I feel like anybody who says they didn't like Metallica is, but even when they were young, is telling a bit of a white lie.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone
maybe
had
you
that
never
little
know.
moment, you know, that one
And they were
moment of like,
groundbreaking for sure.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And and then what kind of what led or inspired you then to pick up the bass?
Well, there's a direct relationship between growing up being a metalhead and playing bass because I started playing bass in the memory of Cliff Burton from Metallica because
Yeah,
he was my
hero.
friend
Oh, he was your friend
and
as well. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yep, and he was going to give me bass lessons, and
Oh,
I was 15, and he was like, get a bass. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I'll get a bass. And he's like, no, get a bass. I'll give you lessons. And I'd be like, Cliff, give me lessons. I told you get a bass. And then like, okay, I didn't get the bass. And then
how old was Cliff at this time? Is he young as well, or?
how old was he? Or how old was
Mm,
I?
you
How
were
old was
15.
I was
Yeah,
15 in 20. He was in his 20s. I don't remember
yeah. I
exactly. I
mean,
could look.
that's amazing though. Like he has such a love, and
Yeah,
everyone
he
loves
was
Cliff. So,
incredible. I mean,
mm,
I'm old, so like I will say that like if anything, I'm lucky to have like witnessed some pretty incredible stuff and like watching Metallica like basically blow up and knowing them as
yeah.
friends. Like I knew all those guys really
Hmm.
well actually, and also knew James Hetfield really well, and Kirk Hammett and Lars, all those guys, and
Hmm.
they were part of our friend group. I mean, they blew up very quickly and they were gone on tour a lot, but we used to party at their house while they were on tour. But anyway, there's tons of hilarious stories. But basically, I started playing bass in Cliff's memory because I was very serious that I wanted to play it. And in fact, I had already played bass. I played upright bass in junior high school when
Hmm.
I was 12. I like
The big, yeah,
the big bass, and then that
yeah,
was like
yeah, yeah.
um so yeah, I mean,
It's not the coolest on stage.
it's not that cool, but actually all of our
If you're in
friends were
an
like, oh,
if you're in an orchestra, it's a very
yeah, I was in a school orchestra. But so all of my metal friends were like, you're so young. If you started playing an instrument now, by the time you're our age, like they were like a few years old, you'll be really good, by the time you're 17. I was like, wow, 17. Like, but anyway, I didn't get the bass, and so like within like a week or two of Cliff dying, I went. In my mind, it was like the next day, but it was probably like the next week or so. I went and I
Mhm.
got a bass and I started playing, and I was like, "That's for you, Cliff,"
Yeah.
And like, not that anybody cares about that, but I cared about it, and I had
Yeah,
meant it. And
it was an important thing for you. So
yeah, and it was also,
you never got to have lessons. So it's sort of like,
but it was also like part of it was for me like recognizing something that like life lessons that we've all had to learn over and over is that
mhm,
if you want something, you have to do it because it's not going to get given to you. And if you say you want
yeah,
something and you feel it in your heart, you better do it because you don't know how long you have here. And I really
yeah,
meant that I wanted to do it. And I was like, this beautiful human has been taken off the earth. And Cliff was an incredible person as a human, and you don't know how long you have here and anything can happen. So if you recognize that time is not something to be squandered
yeah,
and disrespected in many ways, if you want something, you have to make it happen. And this was the first of many life lessons that I've had since then.
yeah.
Um, recognizing how time is like, it seems like you have so much time, but you don't. Or maybe you
No.
do. You don't
I feel
know.
like well, I mean, I just turned 40, but I remember like yeah, I still feel like I'm 25, 26. And I'm still in denial that it's like I don't feel 40. And then I'm like when I remember hitting like 30 and being like, whoa, shit's going fast, real fast now. You know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
when you're like a teenager and when you're like 18, 19, it feels like you've got forever,
Sure does.
you know? And so you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do this and that and fuck around and blah de blah. And then before you know it, it's like, oh shit, you know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
better. It's like I think that's that whole like turning 27 thing when everyone has that kind of, you know, that real, I guess, like life crisis where you kind of have to figure out where you're headed and what you're about and that kind
Right.
of thing as well. Yeah. Um, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, just that Metallica, I think is awesome.
I
Because
mean, I don't get to see them anymore.
yeah, of
My
course,
sister,
yeah,
who still lives in the Bay Area, she sees some of those folks around, and a lot of the people from that community. I'm friends with a lot of them, but I don't like hang out with those guys anymore. But
good
no.
memory to have, good
Oh,
story.
totally. And I think if there was an opportunity to see them, they would be like, "Holy shit!" I mean, we used to hang out all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah, I mean but that's an awesome story to sort of enter into how you became a bass player, I think. It's kind of like, you weren't trying to emulate a rock star or be like something, it was a really personal and a kind of an
yeah,
emotional thing. So,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
personal.
yeah, and being able to just do that in Cliff's memory as well must be like really, a good thing for you just to think, wherever in the universe he is, that you're there doing this, you know what I mean? It must
Yeah, I
be,
mean,
yeah, a
who
good
knows?
feeling. Well, I
Who
mean,
knows?
who knows where
Yeah.
anyone, what, but you'd like, I always sort of like to think somewhere, who knows where, but yeah, and I was gonna say, obviously now you've had all the tours cancelled. Like, have you had any word on things being postponed or moved or anything like that yet? Or are you still in that
Yeah. I mean, stuff keeps
still
just
in
getting.
that like because I know a lot of people have like postponed and then said, yeah, it's happening then, but then you see the date and in the month and you're like, I think that's going to be postponed again. People are getting a little eager. Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
I understand it. I mean, as we were saying before, you know, some of the people who are getting hit really hard with this are promoters,
Hmm.
and especially ones that are putting on bigger shows where they're
Hmm.
paying, guarantees.
Hmm.
Um, it's in the interest of industry people, of course, to not go bankrupt so that they can continue putting on shows in the future. And so one of the reasons that people don't just flat out cancel things and they reschedule it is to try to encourage people to hang on to their tickets instead of
Yeah.
getting refunds, because if they, let's say there's a big festival who's paying a commission to an artist for like a special exclusive collaboration,
Yeah.
for example, that money was probably already spent to that artist. They're counting on ticket sales, to come back
Yeah.
in
To
to,
come back.
the whole
Yeah.
thing is like this ball and it's all works together. So if suddenly
Yeah. Well, it's
everybody
good.
wants to get refunds, then they
Hmm.
don't have, the cash for that. And of course, people would rather, I think, say like, cool, have a ticket when it happens. But um,
Yeah. I mean, I kept a hold of tickets that I've got. Like, I bought tickets to see Chelsea Wolfe and Emma Ruth Rundle, and that was cancelled and now moved. And like, I kept those because it's like, I'll
when is
go
it
whenever it
scheduled for?
happens.
Right, when is it
Um,
scheduled
September next year. So it was, I think it was September this year. Or maybe actually no, maybe it was earlier, maybe it was July. So, but I think maybe it's going to be September next year. So that's more realistic than some of the
Yeah,
other shows and things that I've seen people advertising for January and February and things like that. So
yeah.
it's
It's
likely, but
hard
I've
to say.
tried really hard.
I think everybody really wants it to happen. Of course, one of the biggest like mind fucks with all of this is the uncertainty on all levels for everybody.
Yeah.
How nobody can make a plan. And I think one of the reasons that we're seeing so much widespread like just personal confusion and within people about feeling like hopeless and feeling
Hmm.
uh, depressed and despondent and not sure what to do is that it's in our nature to plan for things. And for many artists and people in business, this is how we work, is that, you plan stuff a year in advance. Like,
Hmm.
I think many fans don't understand that when they go see a
Yeah, there's
tour.
like a cycle. So it's like, when touring comes back,
Yeah.
it's going to be like 2 cycles gone, sort of thing.
Well, or who
Or,
knows, or maybe more. There's gonna be
mm,
chaos once touring can start, because there's gonna be problems for smaller bands, because promoters will probably have to prioritize shows that will sell out or fill the
sell out.
venue.
Yeah.
So it's really complicated, and I don't pretend to understand every part of it, but I've been talking with a lot of people, and there's a lot of confusion about what's going to happen, and there are no answers. I think as
Yeah.
humans we want answers, we don't get them, and so you just feel like you're like floating in the ether, just waiting for that answer to come, and having to deal with the truth is that we are not going to get an answer anytime soon. Um,
Yeah.
some
And it
things
kind
will
of,
be answered, like perhaps, unfortunately, I feel like the part of the chaos that's going on in the United States with the elections, I think that is like Donald Trump is making things a lot worse, in my opinion.
hmm
And
yeah.
not to go off on a political
No,
slant,
no.
but the fact that the leadership there basically denounced this being a serious thing has really added to the problems, because then people don't take it seriously, and when people don't take it seriously, then you're basically just burying people in the United States. Like
Yeah.
the amount of time it's going to take the U.S. Live music scene to recover is going to be really, really long. Directly
Yeah.
because people
And you're
just keep.
such a huge country with so many
Yeah.
states and towns within those states and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, also, I mean, there's also that total uncertainty about, the election and the irony that Trump himself has COVID. So, it's like I kind of, I mean, I would never wish death on anyone, but I gotta say I did laugh hysterically when I when I found that out. I thought, well,
Yeah.
why don't they? I was like, why don't they the doctors just say to him like, oh, it's all good. We're just gonna give you an IV of some bleach, and then see what his face what happens when they say that to him, because he went ahead and said that to your whole country, which I still think is that's like, if that happened in Australia, that he would have been kicked out immediately for saying something like
Well,
that. So
the,
it's
the the
just,
shit that's come out of that guy's mouth and that hasn't, then they're like, he didn't actually mean it. It's like, why did he said it? Yeah,
he said
don't get
it.
me
Yeah,
started
yeah,
on politics.
yeah.
I
I know, I know. And
breaks.
I'm just hoping for you guys that you know what anything's better than Trump. So I'm just hoping that something good comes of it, and
I
maybe
hope
some
so
of the people,
too. There's a
maybe
lot
some
of
of the
people
people.
there that I love. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
same.
I'm
And I,
probably going to stay here.
yeah,
Actually, I don't know. I mean, I'm legal here
yeah,
now in Germany, so I can stay here. I mean, I still have an
yeah,
apartment there. We'll see.
yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's quite a lot of people with long distance relationships now that have been forced,
Mm,
because of COVID, they're not allowed to leave, or they've had to go somewhere and they can't come back now, and all those kinds of dramas, and so until we figure it out, but
yeah.
it's going to be, yeah, a while. Um, but I guess in terms of, what you've been doing, like during this period, aside from working on your animation and that kind of stuff, have you been still doing stuff with music as well?
I've been doing a little bit, not as much as I would like, and I'll be honest that I'm not that motivated right now. And it's I've had to really investigate what that's about for me because I always said that music is the thing that nobody can take away from me. And it
Yeah,
is, and will continue to be, but there's so much just confusion and chaos, and um,
yeah.
it's
I
hard
think,
to be excited, but it'll come back. I know it'll come back because it has to, and it's like anything,
yeah.
you go through phases of like it's grief. Partially,
I
it's
think that's a part of it. At the beginning,
yeah,
I think there was shock, and then, like, then there was kind of like that shock and surprise and almost terror of like, whoa, whoa, and that uncertainty, which is extreme fear, not knowing, like people losing their jobs, and then not being able to do this, not being able to do that, and things like that. And then, of course, then I think one of the final stages is the grief and grieving and going, how am I going to move forward? And a lot of the artists that I've spoken to have said, they've been trying to turn this period around, because they usually tour all the time. So they're trying
yeah,
to turn it into some kind of, they're starting to think about, well, why do I do what I do? And where do I want to go with this? And they're sitting with themselves. And sometimes that can be a really confronting thing. And sometimes it can be help artistically as well. But I think everyone, not just artists, is dealing with that. You know, I still feel like day to day, different moods. Some days I'll be
totally.
like, well, what's the point of, there's nothing to do. Like, may as well
Yeah,
just stay here and sleep and watch some Netflix, because why not? There's
right.
nothing, nowhere to go. And where I live at the moment, there is nowhere to go. We're in lockdown, so you can't
Mm,
go more than 5 kilometers from your house, and you can't have any
really.
visitors. Mm.
Um,
So you literally are stuck at home, and you can only go to the supermarket or the doctors or a
mm,
pharmacy. So, like, it's quite hard in my state at the moment, because the rest of Australia is kind of dropping numbers, and we've dropped down to, I think we were between five, we're like 5 and 11-ish, jumping up and down, but Australia is very strict about it. So
yeah.
we're not going to drop things until we get to zero. Um,
Mm,
like, so, we're kind of like New Zealand is, got to down to zero, and I was like, okay, now we're going to open. So our government's being very, very strict on it. So now we just need to
yeah.
wait as things ease and see if people act normal,
Right.
and
Yeah.
if they behave, that
I
kind
mean,
of
I think
stuff.
it is unfortunate that it is about people taking the measure seriously. I mean, uh, there's a direct connection between being safe and not being a science denier and caring
Mm.
more about, your personal freedom to, go maskless because you don't want to. That's my opinion. I mean, in
Yeah,
Berlin,
yeah.
there's you walk down the street, and I would say that like 1 out of 20 people is wearing a mask on the street, maybe
Mm-hmm.
two, but of course
Mm-hmm.
all the shops, but everything's open,
Yeah. Whereas
If
all of
they're
that
gonna
stuff's
change that, I think.
closed
I think it's gonna start changing here.
soon. Yeah, because I mean, all of our retail and all that is closed. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of people who are just sitting, not doing anything. But here, masks are a legal requirement. So and that
On the street as well.
everywhere, yeah, yeah. So on the street, anywhere as soon as you leave your house, you have to have a mask on.
Yeah.
Um, and if you don't, it's a $200 fine, and you're not allowed to wear a bandana or a scarf. It has to be a proper mask.
Right.
And yeah, a friend of mine was saying he's in Switzerland, and he gets a train because he's works in Italy, and I think it's $1,000 fine if you get caught on the metro without a
In
mask.
Switzerland? Yeah, because
So yeah,
they
so
take it
I mean,
seriously. Yeah.
and I feel like that's and it's a different thing. I mean, I think America has a very different relationship with freedom and all that kind of and liberties and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I guess Australia is much more chilled, I guess, where we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to get that shit. Like I'm wearing a mask. I mean, there's still some people who aren't, but not now that now that you put money involved and people suddenly start to do things,
Totally.
like it's like, okay, I
Yeah.
don't want to fine because you'll get a fine every single time. So, if every time you leave the
Yeah.
house without a mask, you're gonna have like this huge thing. So that's one good aspect. But the one good thing I think that's come from all of this is the community and a lot of the musicians coming together and really leaning on each other and stuff like that. Um, Especially with and I've seen a lot of people doing their live streams or little things like that, which I think are good. And for fan bases, like spending, even though we're all in this this uncertain time, fans are still really trying to support the bands, like
Yeah.
especially with like Bandcamp Friday and stuff. Like I buy stuff every Bandcamp Friday.
Nice.
It's just, and if I don't have much money that particular day, I'll buy a
Try a
bunch of
couple songs or
digital.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I buy a bunch of digital stuff. But me and my housemate usually we'll do a bulk order with a record company, and then
Yeah.
we share the shipping, or whatever, because it's quite
Smart.
expensive to
Right.
Australia. So yeah, so we've been, because we miss music so much, it's like you still feel like you're a part of it if you in that kind of thing, and it can help it can help an artist pay their rent, and it can help them get the gear they need, or my friend Marissa Nadler, she was able to get a piano from one of the Bandcamp Fridays that she was planning, she'd been trying to get. So
Right.
it's good, and that people are still trying to give even when they aren't totally in the same place. So I've kind
Right.
of seen a lot of good coming out of people, I think, you know. So I hope that group of people, extends further, and we learn a big lesson from this as well. But I guess in terms of, I mean, you have no idea about touring and things like that. And have you even thought about the possibility of what your next project will be?
Well, one idea that I had was to do some solo stuff
Hmm.
because if I'm in Europe and Andy's in the States,
Hmm.
and I don't know when I'm going to be able to go back there, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, and since I can write music alone, and I've got a couple ideas of things that I've been wanting to do that would be alone anyway. They
Hmm.
might just be for recording purposes.
Hmm.
Um, Possibly to record on my own or maybe get somebody else involved for the recording and mixing and maybe self-release, maybe not. I mean, I've got the things in my head and it's just a matter of starting.
Yeah. They always say the starting is the hardest part, though.
Yeah.
you know.
I would, if small shows were allowed, I would actually pursue doing
Hmm.
some smaller solo tours and smaller venues.
Yeah. So
Done
I'm
it
not.
before. I like it.
Hmm. Because I'm not sure. There's some things going on in Berlin, I believe,
Oh
but
yeah.
if it's outdoors and people have masks on and there's social distancing, I think. But I'm not
I
sure
mean,
if it's.
yeah, there was
Uh,
some indoor stuff as well, actually.
mm-hmm.
Um, I personally did not feel comfortable going to shows. I haven't been to the cinema. I mean, I've been
Mm-hmm.
pretty responsible.
Yeah, I
No,
don't, I
I don't
don't,
want to
I
get
don't want
that
to go
fucking
anywhere.
fired. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I don't want to go anywhere. I've been getting my groceries like delivered. That's how like
mhm.
paranoia I've become. Like, because I'm just like, if I get that disease, I'm just gonna be screwed. You know,
Yeah,
and
who's going to
and
take
so,
care of you if you get sick? You know, you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
count on the government to take care of you if you get sick. So,
yeah,
yeah, so I've got some ideas of things for sure, and I am writing bits and bobs here and there,
yeah,
but I tend to work in chunks anyway of focus, and this is something that I've always done, and this is how I've managed to have sort of two working careers for so long, is that
yeah,
I'll focus on one thing quite a lot, and then when that's sort of wrapped up or gotten to a certain place, then I can focus on something else. So I'll work on somebody's film for like 2 months, and I'll work on it all day, every day, for those couple months. And when that's finished, then I'm not working on any visual work and I'm just writing, or I'm just recording or making demos or playing with somebody else on their recordings. And so I try to stay really focused, um, for the extent of time that is, the duration needed to do really super intense focused work and do it well, instead of getting spread really thin and trying to do, several things sort of
at once.
half-assed. That doesn't
Yeah,
that doesn't generally produce good results for me. Some people
yeah,
are really good at multitasking. I can do it, but I enjoy what I'm doing a lot less if I'm going,
yeah.
okay,
If
I'm
you're
gonna
trying to
do 2
fit
hours
it
of
all
this.
in.
Yeah, I mean, many people are really good at like, okay, I spend like 3 hours a day practicing guitar, and then I'll go to my job, and that's just not the way that I function,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. I'm a crazy multitasker, but then sometimes I need like a day and I go, today, that's all I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
I alternate between the two, I think. Um, but
The
lastly, I
thing
was going to
about
say,
creative ideas, I just want to add one thing, that
yeah,
the thing
yeah,
about
go.
creative work is that just because you've scheduled time for it doesn't mean that it's going to come. I mean, that shit doesn't come on tap.
No, it
You
doesn't
know,
come at the
you can't be
time.
like,
Mm,
cool, I set aside like, you know,
however
Friday to
long, yeah,
work on songwriting, and maybe Friday comes and you're just like in a shit mood and you just, nothing
yeah,
happens. So when it's time for me to like write an album or something, I'll sit down and like that's gonna be my 80% thing that I do. And everything
yeah,
else, has to fit around that, including seeing people and eating and sleeping. I'll just
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Like, I am a crazy workaholic for sure,
yeah.
uh, but that's the only
Well,
way that I can do things to my own satisfaction, which I'm pretty harsh self-judge, honestly. So.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, well, I mean, like I write, so I can't schedule time to write. I
Yeah.
need to I need to have like usually I'm in a bad or shitty or depressed mood, that and that's when I feel like writing, unless it's something else, like unless I'm writing about something that's not poetry or whatever. But if it's stuff that's poetry or personal sort of stuff, it's like I have to kind of be in a real, not a great mental space, but it's usually late at night is when I get, so I can't like just go, all right, today, like Thursday, I'm going to spend that day writing this. It's like, I just write shit and then it goes
Yeah.
in the bin. And it's like, what is this shit? I read it the next day and I'm like, no. But yeah, nighttime for me is like, I don't know, it's weird, but that's when I get most like inspired and like, when it's silent, like one, two,
Yeah.
3 in the morning, like, because like
Because the
everything's silent,
static
you're
of the
thinking.
world isn't in your face the whole time. I mean, that's the thing, is that every like time that you check your email or your phone, or you go online to just check that thing or get an idea, you're it's it's adding stimulus from all these places. And sometimes, for me anyway, the only way to really focus is to really limit that, because it's it's a distraction. I mean, in the most purest of forms, is that
Hmm.
if you're trying to sit down with your thoughts and collect
Yeah.
them into something cohesive that is expressing some part of you that you're trying to figure out how, what it even is, and then you're trying to figure out how to define it. That alone is really hard. So um, definitely limiting how much, world static comes into your space is pretty important for me anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it definitely is for me. Like I've not felt motivated too much to do the good stuff, like the more personal, creative stuff during this time, because it just feels so like like you said, it's just everything's just unclear, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to write a whole bunch of stuff about COVID. You know what
Right.
I mean? Or like, whatever, that kind of thing. And like, there's been decisions where you have to make choices. Like, I finished like my second poetry book. I was meant to put it out and I had to choose not to because I was like, it's COVID, no one's gonna have money to buy it. So
Mm,
I'm not gonna put it out. I'll wait until, whatever the economy comes sort of back. And then I'm halfway through the third one. And so it's like, but I'm just not motivated to finish it at the moment.
yeah.
So that's why I
But
started this project, because I was like, I feel more than anything at the moment, people need to interact and connect.
yeah.
And especially in the music industry, like fans and the artists themselves, like it's it's been a really good thing seeing the artists, seeing them being human and seeing them what they're going through, and just having a relaxed kind of conversation as opposed to, like blah this what, like here's a list of questions from Kerrang or wherever, answer these, how do you do this, thing with
Right.
your gear or whatever. So
Right.
it's kind of, I feel like
What's
it's
your
kind of,
pedal setup?
yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff.
Which is,
So
I like that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I
it's
mean, lots
not,
of people
it's,
do. It's like, and
yeah, yeah,
if someone asks that, I always ask because I'm like, I know they really want to, but and I
yeah.
know, but
Renee,
yeah,
can
like
we talk about my pedal set? No, I'm
no,
kidding.
we can if you want.
No, no,
Um,
it's all right.
no, but yeah, like it is it's whatever anyone wants to talk about, and with every interview I've done, I've been very like, what, it's whatever anyone wants to talk about. What that,
Yeah,
because to me, this has become my little project during this time, is just trying to create a space for people to connect and interact, and also
yeah.
get to know new artists. Like I've had a lot of people write to me and say, I didn't know that artist. And I really liked that interview. And now I went and listened to that artist and I bought their album and I really
No,
liked
that's
them.
great.
So,
Yeah, you've
so,
done a lot of great interviews. I was checking some of them out, and I made checked out like three or four. And then I was scrolling through, and I was like, "Holy shit, she's been really busy."
yeah, yeah. And,
Yeah,
it's been great, like, because, yeah, I've been around a long time and I've had good relationships with a lot of people. And so, I'm just very fortunate that most a lot of the first ones were people that I know, and
yeah.
completely trusted me wholeheartedly to come on and just talk,
Mm-hmm.
and not
Yeah,
not
it's
be like
nice.
a serious, like, let's really get,
Interview. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
I've never tried never to interview that way, so you know um but I guess now you're working on those things and you've got Berlin and all of that stuff. Now's kind of like, yeah, your time. I guess, it's at least you've got your animation, and you can still work on some music stuff, which is a positive. But I'm looking forward to seeing when we do see how things go with Swans, and
yeah.
and what comes next, for you and for Insect Arc as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I
So
mean, I'm sure that it's, you know, um, me personally, like this has been a really crazy year because also like moving to a new country without planning it, you know, like
Yeah.
it's many of us have musicians have like gone on tour and been like, I'm just gonna never go home, but I actually did it, which is pretty
Yeah.
crazy to do that in a way because as you might imagine, there's a lot of things that I really actually need in my apartment in New York, where I'm very lucky that a friend of mine was looking for a place and was able to take my slot there. So it's not like I'm paying
Yeah.
for my rent in New
Or
York, but
empty.
I can't figure out how to get there and get back without a month of quarantine, 2 weeks on each time. Where would I go? You know, all these things. So I'm
Oh, so they have that in place as well. We
in
have
the
that at the
States.
moment as well.
Yeah, it's
It's
important
horrible.
for me, but
I
it's
mean, it's
important
important,
for
but
us.
do you have to pay?
Pay to
Do
get a
you have
test.
though to go into quarantine? Like, so for
I would have to
Australia,
find a spot.
yeah.
I would have
So
to
for
pay
Australia,
for
you get allotted only two hotels, and they're both expensive, and so
it.
it's $3,000 and something dollars for the 2 weeks. Like, if you come to Australia, you go straight into a hotel for 2 weeks, and it's 3,000
Mm.
something before you're allowed to. Yeah. So, you
Yeah.
know, that's going to stop a lot of people as well. And when we figure out the whole thing with music as well, things will have to change because it's just not going to, that's not going to
Right.
work with the industry. Making bands stay in a hotel for 2 weeks not playing is just going to, and paying that cost, you know, five members of a band, 3,000 each, like not a chance, you know. So, hopefully some developments start
Yeah.
happening where you can, like, I know there was they were talking about a task force or something that was going to be like 3 days before you would fly, you would have a COVID test, and then the day before you fly, you have a COVID test, and then when you get to your destination, a day later you have COVID test. 3 days after that, you have a COVID test, rather than the quarantining for so long.
Hmm.
But you obviously have to stay wherever you're. If you're with a friend, you
Yeah.
have to stay there or a hotel. I mean, that's more real. Like, I feel like I'm hopeful that that's somewhere we can get to eventually, as opposed to the other,
Yeah.
because financially that the other option is not really helpful for anyone really, businesses or artists or even just people who want to reconnect with their families or
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
partners.
really for sure I want to go to see my family who are all on the west coast of the US and it's like I can't go there, you know?
Yeah, and that's it's a horrible thing. Like, um, well, an example is like a week and a half ago, my dad had a heart attack, and
Oh no.
he's okay, he's alive, um, but he had a heart attack, and he lives in a different state, and I can't visit him.
Hmm.
So that was really hard,
Yeah.
and having to like deal with
Make
the
those
emotions.
decisions. Yeah.
And yeah, and like, it was like FaceTiming him in intensive care and things, and just being not being like, do you need me to organize something? What can I do? Like, I can go
Yeah.
online and order you groceries or like whatever, like,
Right.
just let me know. But yeah, it's very, it's really a tough situation when things like that have happened. And I know quite a few people that have had, health issues or family members pass away or like, what, and then had to miss it. And that's a tough thing, I think, you know.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea that, you know, something could happen to somebody that you love far away and you won't be able to go be with them. That's a devastating idea. And it's something that I think that was on everybody's mind a lot more in the beginning when we were all still really in shock about
Yeah.
things. Like, well, you know, when we didn't know, like, how contagious is it? And all the
Hmm.
early questions and people saying, you know, I have to accept the fact that I might, you know, not see that person again if they get sick. And,
Yeah.
you know, in a way, maybe it was a moment where people were really recognizing um, how just easily breakable we are and like how the bonds that we have while they're very real in our heart, like we're used to being able to reinforce them with
Hmm.
things outside of concept. So now
Yeah.
all we have is like imagination and hope. And some days it's pretty hard to like pull those things up, you know? But
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I mean,
And also that kind of I guess I'm trying to think of the word. It's like there's that, the not, just no human connection, having that taken away.
it's
And also um I think a lot of people have been sort of faced with obviously having to sit with themselves, but also looking at how much they've taken for granted.
total. That's kind of what I mean about the early
Yeah.
days. Wow, I
Mm.
always thought like, well, I'm just that person. I'll see them. I need that thing. I can get it. And then it's like, oh no, you couldn't even get hand sanitizer. At least in New York, like you couldn't buy hand sanitizer, and I was like, everyone's gonna get sick because it's a filthy, disgusting city.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the same
I'm
thing
not a
here in New
huge fan of New York, I gotta say.
I mean,
I think it's a cool
it's
place,
got
but
its
but
things.
mm, but in
It's
terms
got
of its
its
cleanliness, I was very shocked.
no, cleanliness is not one of the things on the top of the list,
No,
right?
like I was like, wow, it smells like kind of like a mixture of like wee and poo,
Oh, you were
and
there in the summer, weren't you? Yeah.
and there's actual rats and you can see them, and like
Oh
just
yeah, everywhere.
that's so gross, and like and also the open like no bin, like just garbage bags with rubbish everywhere on the footpath.
On the
I was
street.
like, so unsanitary. I was like, whoa, like I was like, this is blowing my mind. Like if people did that here, my God, it would just you'd be my God, your whole street would like exercise you out. You'd be like,
That's the same thing
yeah.
here in Germany. I mean, I used to laugh
Oh,
about this
Germany is
when
so
I lived here
clean,
before.
and
I mean, not everywhere, but like pure.
certain
This is a place
areas.
where like if you put like a white glass bottle in the brown glass recycling, people would be like,
Oh,
"What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, don't you know?"
yeah,
And you'd be like,
yeah,
"I'm sorry." Like,
yeah. I spent a lot of
yeah.
time in Cologne and Frankfurt, and I did go to Berlin as well, but Cologne specifically, oh
Hmm.
wow. They are like so there is there is nothing anywhere. It's like the cleanest city I've ever been to.
It is clean there.
It's like no one lives there. It's just like,
Hmm.
like there's just nothing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, but they do, they have that very, like you said, if you put something in the wrong bin or you do anything, it's like, and they even, they have designated bike lanes, and like it's like
Yes, they do. Which I'm very
and
happy about.
a pedestrian side too, though. So it's like you've
Yeah,
got this thing, and it's like, and if you accidentally walk into the to the bike one, you're dead. You're dead.
I know.
They'll be
I
like,
almost
they're
hit
like,
people all the time on my. I
yeah,
ride my bike in the rain here, and like one of those like cruel bikers because I don't want to take the metro, you
yeah.
know.
Especially not now. Like, I mean,
But that's what
no
I
matter
mean. I
how,
mean, that's what I'm. Yeah, I don't want to get. I don't want to be like squashed up against somebody on the train. But here the bike lane is like an actual legitimate, traffic lane. And if
yeah, it's amazing
drunk
in Germany.
people step into it, and you have to have a bell here because people. It's
Yeah,
pretty
you do.
fun.
Yeah, because someone was like,
Ring
"Can
the
we ring the
bell,
bell?"
scare people,
Yeah,
or
some
yell
one
at
of the
them like,
first.
"Hey!"
Yeah, yeah. The first time I went, I was getting a belled at, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm
"Why am I
sure.
being belled at?" And then someone was like, "Oh, because the
Because you're
left
in my
lane is for
fucking
bicycles." Yeah, left lane is
yeah
for bicycles, right's for pedestrians. And I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
this is what an amazing concept. Why don't we
It's
have
good.
this?" Because I guess in New York and everywhere else, it's probably the same as here, where we have a couple of bike tracks, but basically
Yeah.
bicycle riders ride on the road with cars, which
Yeah,
is
they've
like
gotten a lot better
pet.
in New York about that. Actually, the
Mm.
the last like couple of years, they sort of tried, but it's
Hmm.
now a place that like people double park their cars. But
Yeah, that's like
yeah.
England scares, like driving and seeing how they park and everything in England freaked me out.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
roads that are both ways, but cars park on both sides. So
Right.
only one car can go down, but it's not a one-way street.
Yeah, it's
And I'm
confusing
like,
enough that the cars are on the wrong side. Sorry.
yeah, oh yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, just well, every time I go overseas, like when I go to America, I go to the wrong side of the car
Hmm. Yeah.
immediately. And then when it's time to turn or whatever, I'm like, why are we going? Like, I get freaked out. Like, we're
Yeah.
going the wrong way. And I'm like, oh, hang on, no, we're not. We're
Yeah.
different country, different rules. But
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of like, and even just in Cologne with the bike riders, I was like, all my colleagues at the time, all rode
Yeah.
bicycles, and all so healthy. And not, they were all like just cruising, no helmets, like, woo, happy days. And I was like, that is not how it works over here. Our bicycle riders are like known for being extreme road rages.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, that's what I do. I do love Germany for some of those things, minus the hotels with the two single beds, which is so weird to me, and a tiny blanket for each bed.
Yeah.
Like, what is that about? Like,
It's an efficient culture. You're one person, you should have one blanket. Why not?
yeah, it's kind of
Just saying,
because it's
that's
like,
I think that's the attitude.
yeah, I think it is too. Whereas I'm
It's
like,
logical in a way.
yeah, but if you're
Yeah.
staying with a partner or something, you're like, this is really dumb. Like, because you roll over and you fall in the crack because it's not a bed; it's two beds just stuck together. But yeah.
Can't have it
But
all, Renee.
what's that?
I said you can't have it all.
Oh, I know, I know. They've got
Sorry.
great this, but no, no, yeah. But the hotels leave much to be desired
Yeah.
in terms of their bedding. But yeah. Again, like I said, thank you for so much for coming on, taking the
Yeah.
time to chat, and
Thanks for having me. Nice to talk.
yeah,
I think you're really right that people, even if they are seeing, a small pod of friends or whatever, I think the isolation thing is really serious, and I'm experiencing it, you
yeah,
know, big time. It's hard. I hope that everybody, is able to recognize the need for self-care, whatever that looks like to you,
yeah,
and if that means not, like releasing some of the pressure on yourself to not live up to expectations that you usually have. Like usually
yeah,
by now, I mean, I wish by now I should have played like almost 100 something shows this year or more actually, probably
yeah,
closer to like 150, and I played 4 or 5. And like for me, that's like, and I should have had another album written by now, and I should have done this and this and this. And I'm like, yeah, and I also am a human, and there is no script here, so I have to
mm,
make my way the best I can. And I hope that people recognize that, none of us have ever dealt with this before. So they just do
yeah,
what we need to do to be okay, whatever that means,
yeah.
is,
And it's a day by day thing, and sometimes I'm
yeah,
like, well, you know what, today's just going to be about me. I'm just going to burn some oils, read a book, and like not think about anything today,
yeah,
like, or whatever it is that helps you. But
yeah,
yeah, you're right in that sense. So yeah, I think it's important, and that's the one good thing that I've seen come out of social media. I mean, the fact that I can do these, and
yeah, it's cool.
and I can FaceTime my friends all over the world, and
Right,
and and normally we would, but not as often.
right.
And now,
Likewise, yeah.
yeah, and now it's like, every week there's a thing, or every day I talk to someone, or blah blah blah, the same people, like, so it's like reevaluating like how important those friendships are when you can't see them. So it's like, you know, I think it's one way the whole digital age has actually turned around and done something really positive.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. And actually, there have been people that I've just maybe wouldn't even have like texted, maybe would have just emailed with them. And I'll
Hmm.
just be like, hey, want to like jump on, you know, on FaceTime or Skype or whatever, and just
Hmm.
try to like bypass some of the steps that it takes to connect with. If this is all we have, then, and it's free, it's amazing, it's free, yet there's still this perception of distance that is
Yeah.
very real. And you recognize, you're like, okay, you're in Australia, I'm in Europe, you know, there's people all over the place that care about
Hmm.
each other, and we have all these tools that many of us have just not used. And so I'm also doing the same thing, as like trying to like
Yeah.
have, or voices or something to just not, because now with winter coming, like I know it's not there, right? You
Yeah,
know.
we've just come out of it. So I
Yeah.
think that's why the beginning of COVID was so bad for us, because
Hmm.
it was like straight into a depression because
Yeah.
COVID hit and we were right in winter, and only now we've just started spring.
Well, good for you.
So
We're just going into the classic German winter now. I'm looking out the window right here, and the sky is gray, you know, and German winter is like it's a really serious thing. It's like the sun won't come out for, you know, two
yeah.
months, whatever. And
Hmm.
um, so making an effort to, you know,
Yeah, just to speak
break
to
the
those
chain.
people, and yeah, and keeping it going. Like that's what I've been trying to do, like keeping whether it's on Instagram, messaging people, or like just texting or
Yeah.
FaceTiming, or like my dad doesn't know how to use anything except like FaceTime video on Facebook.
On the phone, you
You
just
know,
push the
yeah,
button.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, he'll do that, and you know, and my niece will send videos and like to my phone or whatever from a little iPad or whatever.
Right.
And I've just started sending snail mail out to overseas friends and local friends, just to
Nice.
cheer people up a little bit and make them feel like there's
Great.
something going on, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is. I think you know, we all just gotta trying to stay positive, but yeah, taking time for yourself I think is super important, and
Yeah.
utilizing, like you said, all these tools now. I'm just using it way more than I ever did, like in terms of like Skype and Zoom and all the video stuff, like,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. I was, you know, it's been a huge thing, and I think I would have struggled without it, you know, without being able to see just that person's face or whatever, you know. So yeah, but I hope that you know, that winter isn't too bad for you, and that you can
Figure it out.
yeah, and you know, um and just keep going, keep doing what you do, and you know, you've got so many fans that love and appreciate what you do, and I mean, just keep the, you know, I say that to one of my good friends who's he's usually on tour all year as well, and I just say just remember that, like, you know, it's not over, just it's just on a
Pause.
hiatus, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, you know, and all your, you know, and you haven't, no one's lost any fans, or if anything, I think a lot of people have gained more loyalty from their fan base
It's
during this
interesting.
time. I think, you know, people are much more like likely to buy stuff now, and even in a time of hardship. And I think that kind of shows how important music is to people,
Yeah.
and because that's their outlet. Most people, that's their outlet. So I think,
Right.
you know, that's really important. And so, you know, I say to my musician friends, like, you know, don't take it for granted that you're so lucky in that position where you get to do what you do, and you get to, you know, you get to help people in another way that, you know, you don't necessarily know about, but you know, it's like people are experiencing things, and you know, they've you know, blast that album saved my life, or you know, whatever it may be, you know, that got me through COVID, you know, or whatever. Like that's an amazing thing. So it's like, you know, it's just like, just I'm always like, just you guys are, you know, all my artist friends, I'm like, you guys are amazing, and no one's going anywhere. When you come back to tour, they'll be there. You know, it's just a matter of, yeah, when that pause is gonna stop. You know,
Right.
but
Well, that's a
yeah,
positive attitude. I appreciate it.
yeah. Well, you know, it is, because it's just like I know so many amazingly talented like artists, and I just and it, you know, they're all going through this same thing, feeling really,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, you know what, like it will come back, you know, it will, and I'm like, you know, and we just keep putting that out into the universe, that good energy, and you know, that's the best we can do right now,
Yeah.
and just keep in touch with everybody and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it
Checking in
was,
on people that you know are alone is also really important.
yeah,
Checking in
100%.
on people that you know like don't have partners, or family members that live alone is like extra important. Just wanted to throw that out there. Just
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a rule,
if you think of it, do
unfortunately.
it. Like, I wonder how my aunt is doing who lives, but why don't you send her a text? Like, oh, right. Like this is the time where I think we can really show that 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 we don't forget, you know, what other
Yeah,
people's challenges are. That remember, like you said, being grateful for what we have, because I
yeah,
know
because
that,
so
well,
much of the time you're too
yeah,
busy thinking about what you're doing in your day to day, and
yeah,
that becomes your focus. And now that that's switched off, it's like, hang on a minute, like, yeah, and you kind of start to think, well, when you take everything away, what have I got? Like
this is the big question. I
I've
mean,
been
some days,
neglecting this and that, and you know, neglecting friends, or neglecting your health, or neglecting, you know, whatever it may be. Like, you know, I think it's that time for everybody to have like a mini existential crisis of
or not
sorts.
so many, depending on the day, but yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. It's just this little thing, but
Yeah, I think
again,
some of
yeah,
us will come out of this better people ultimately,
I think
within
so.
luck.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it's
there's going to be
changed.
some casualties, I think, too, which
Oh
is
yeah,
really sad. That
yeah,
I mean, it's a global pandemic, right? So it's like
yeah.
shit is. I mean, I was stating the obvious here, but it's getting to a point where I think that the time is moving really strangely,
Hmm.
and um,
I feel like days are very slow, but the weeks are flying by.
oh, really? That's
'Cause,
interesting. Yeah, I can't really say. Yeah, it changes constantly, but
I mean, it's Groundhog Day for me, pretty much it feels like each day. But
yeah.
for some reason, the months seem to go quick, and I'm like, how are we in October already?
Actually, that's a good point. I think that you're right. That's a good point. Is that the months have been just like, what? I think it's because spring was spent in some sort of like almost traumatic fear, and so the
Hmm.
whole spring basically just was just wiped off the calendar, and then suddenly we're like, wait, it's summer. What? This was for us on in this heaven.
Yeah, yeah,
And then it was like summer, like fuck, wait, it's summer, and then you're like, whoa, it's summer, and then it's like, yeah, but it's gonna be fall. Now we're in fall, and I'm like, I haven't, I left home on March 1st. I left New York March 1st, and here it is, October. So
yeah. That's a long period of time of time. Like when I sit down
it
and think
is,
about it, I'm like, that's actually ages. Like,
yeah,
you know, and I had my birthday like on September 30, and like, you know, I had to have it in isolation,
yeah,
you know, and it was so weird, like, and things like that.
twice,
But
yeah,
yeah, but again, yeah, it's looking after you know, looking out for each other, and you know, here in Australia, if you don't have a partner, you're not allowed to have anyone over, like,
mm,
so. if you have a partner, they're allowed to stay, but if you're single, you're not allowed to have a designated friend. So, you know, I think it's really important to check in with those friends because,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, if they don't have someone who can come visit them, like it can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
Just so yeah, having that option to just to just to get a nice message, you know, or like I've had people send me, which I never even knew how to do, is those like voice memos, you know, and I've had
Mm,
a couple of people send me like one of those, and I'm just like, wow, like, and it's just little things like that. I think are just
yeah.
like really important, and in keeping everyone just a little bit stable and just a little bit more positive,
Yeah.
and just checking in how they're going, you know, because I know there has been across the world some turmoil, and you know, and mental health is very high here at the moment. I'm sure it's same everywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think our stats are 1 in 3 like people who are workers or whatever are now suffering from mental health like issues through COVID. So, because no one's ever dealt with this, so we can't possibly, no one knows how to deal with it. So, you know, people are dealing with things they never had to address, or you know,
Right.
and that's a tough thing. And if you're like a control freak, which I normally am, I don't like not knowing things. I really
Yeah.
don't like it. I like to know what I'm doing tomorrow or like whatever generally. And so this has been a massive learning curve for me, being able to let
Yeah.
go and be like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I've got to be okay with this, you know. And
Totally.
so in a way, hopefully, I come out of this a little less of a anxiety person because I would have dealt with the worst of not knowing, you know, in a sense. But again, anyway, but yeah, so just thank you again so much for coming
Yeah.
on and
Sure. Thanks for.
chatting, and yeah, and just you know, being authentic and being you, and yeah, sharing your what you're going through, and just yeah, parts of your life, which I think, you know, is such an awesome thing to share with people. And um yeah, I think, you know, and it's good for your fans, and I hope you gain a lot of new fans
Well,
as well.
thanks.
As well.
Thanks.
So
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep going. I'll keep going. You know, you'll keep going. We'll all
mm,
keep going. Just we're all
yeah.
just humans on Earth trying to learn lessons. So hopefully
hmm
we, make the best of it. And I really appreciate you taking the time also to sit and talk with me. So thanks.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Um, yeah, I hope you have a lovely day, because it's day there.
Yeah.
As I'm so
Thanks.
there's so many all these times at the
Yeah.
moment. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I hope you have an awesome night, a day, and I'm gonna have a night. See,
Yeah.
I don't even know what date it is half the time at the moment, but yeah, I know that this is it. But yeah, thank you so much again, and yeah, I hope you do have a lovely day, and yeah, I hope things continue and stay well for you. And I'll pop you a message every now and again and check
Please
in.
do. Great. Thanks so much.
No worries. Thanks so
And
much
thanks to
again.
everybody who watched out there in the
In
ether.
the ether. Okay. Thank you
Cool. All
again.
right. Take care.
Bye. You too.
Bye. Thanks.